Hello, and now welcome to the Greek of Acts 17, 16 through 21. This is the third day of our trek through Acts 17. We've been in Thessalonica, we've been in Berea, and now Paul is at Athens waiting for Silas and Timothy to join him from Berea. So, verse 16, and in the Athens, notice Athens is plural. I've mentioned this in an earlier video, that a lot of cities were plural. And I think this is because they were originally a collection of demes. I'm trying to remember, I didn't look it up. I think there might have been 10 demes making up Athens, 10 tribes. I don't know if you're like me, you don't think of a sophisticated place like Athens having tribes, but remember, they were ancient people. We have tribes today, as well. There's the Republican tribe, there's the Democrat tribe. But anyway, the Wesleyan tribe, the Methodist tribe. The city of Athens was made up of several demes. In Athens, Paul awaiting them. So this is a genitive absolute. Genitive absolute is a noun or pronoun in the genitive, in this case, Paul. And then a participle in the genitive, in this case, ekdekomenu. And then this is the direct object of the participle. Ekdekomai, its deponent. Omai, its deponent. So this is a present, middle deponent, say, participle, genitive, masculine, singular. So now in Athens, Paul awaiting them, the spirit of him in him was grieved. So this is paroxuno, not a real common word. The omicron has been augmented to an omega. I think it's imperfect. Yes, let's say imperfect, present stem with an augment. Imperfect middle. No, it was, his spirit was stirred up, was greatly upset, so it's passive. So luomai, lue, lua, to, so it's a third person singular, imperfect passive indicative from paroxuno. So his spirit in him was stirred up, beholding full of idols the city being. This is, I think you can hear, first of all, this is a participle. My nt is an active participle. My ant is an active participle. It's a present, so therao. So it's a present active participle, genitive masculine singular, arkonantos. So it's genitive singular. It must go therefore with his. The spirit of him, in him, when he was beholding the thorough idleness, the city being. This is the present participle of ami. Feminine, because city's feminine. Active females carry Uzis. So it's a feminine present participle, accusative feminine singular from ami. Now this participle doesn't have an article on it, so I'm thinking it's probably adverbial. There are like 10 different adverbial nuances. I think the nuance here is very clear. I can hear the because, can't you? The spirit of him was stirred up in him because he was beholding a city that was full of idols. So this is a causal participle, adverbial participle, causal use. Okay, so he's grieved. Verse 17. Therefore, on the one hand, he was debating. This is dialego. You can hear dialogo. Can't you hear it? So it's imperfect because it's present stem with an augment. I think it's probably middle because he was being debated. You could say that. But I think it was he was debating. He himself was debating some sort of middle nuance. Unless it's dialegomai. Oh, it's dialegomai, so it's deponent. Oh my! In the synagogue with the Jews, with the pipe wrench. No, and the worshipers, God-fearers. So he's doing his synagogue thing like he normally does, but he's also in the agora, in the marketplace, according to every day. Probably setting up his tent making shop there and witnessing while they work. You can witness while you work. Okay, so with the ones happening upon. paratunkano. Tunkano has a sense of it happened, happened along. And of course, again, we don't have to read any particular theology into it. Just, God can bring people to you too, which maybe is an argument in favor of my seeing some of the election language as more a way of speaking than something with a deep theological investment. Because this word has a sense of happenstance. They happened. They chanced along. My aunt is an active participle. It's present. It's accusative, masculine, plural. I know it's masculine because the article never lies. Okay. Verse 18. Now, certain ones, both of the Epicureans and the Stoic philosophers, notice there's one "the," which suggests that this is being treated as a group. They're all philosophers. You've seen one philosopher, you've seen them all. Although I talk in my podcast version, these are quite different philosophers. These are materialists who believe that death ends everything. Stoics believe in a universal mind that governs everything, and that we have an impersonal afterlife because our little logos inside of us, our little logos seed, the implanted word, goes back. Okay. They were meeting with him, imperfect, two lambdas, so it's imperfect. It's present stem with an augment. And certain were saying, imperfect, what would want this babbler to say? Question mark. This is an optative. The on is a clue here. Oi is a sign of the optative. It's present active optative, third person singular. Notice that Luke uses optatives more than other books in the Bible, it would seem. The on's a little bomb, throws everything up in the air. What would want the spermologos, the seed word, the word seeder? He sows words everywhere, blah, 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 the babbler. This babbler to say. And they, this is a capital C, of strange spirits. I know this is demons, and if we were in the Gospels, we would say demons. But actually, Luke here is quite accurate in the way that he depicts the way an Athenian philosopher would talk about demons. Athenian philosophers did not think of demons as evil spirits. They thought of them as divine spirits, without the evil connotation, probably. So most versions translate this of strange gods. He seems to be a speaker, a proclaimer. Yes, okay. A katangalus, to be. This is the infinitive of emi, present infinitive. Docitus, he seems, third person singular, present active indicative. Okay, because, causal clause, he was preaching the good news, imperfect again, a lot of imperfects in this passage, of Jesus and the resurrection. So they don't recognize Jesus. He's not on my list. I got out my God list, and I don't see Jesus there. This guy's making stuff up. That's kind of the connotation here. So, and having taken him, lobbing you an aorist, aorist participle, aorist middle participle, epilambanomai. Okay, so it's deponent. It's a middle deponent participle, noun masculine plural. Having taken a hold of him, unto the Arion Pagon, the Mars, the Ares crag, the Ares cliff. It's a hill, Mars Hill, the Areopagus, which seems to be where they held court. Agag, Arist of Ago. They led him. So having taken hold of him, they led into the Areopagus, saying, quote, capital letter, we are able, or it's a question, isn't it? Are we able to know what this new teaching by you being spoken is? That's kind of a hard passage here. This is present active indicative, present deponent indicative, first plural from dunamai. Gano, it's an aorist, aorist active infinitive. What? Interrogative pronoun. This demonstrative pronoun. New teaching, didache. The by you being spoken new teaching. Okay, this is present passive participle. Okay, verse 20. For you are bringing into our hearing, into our hearings, into our ears, into our hearings, you are bringing something that is being foreign. Xenidzanta, xenidzo, to be strange. My aunt is an active participle. Yeah, so it's a present active participle, accusative masculine singular. Okay, we are therefore we are wanting, present boulomai, it's deponent, present deponent indicative first plural. We are wanting to know, aorist active infinitive, what wants these things to be, which is idiomatic for what's going on, something like that. What are you talking about, man? We want to know what this is all about. What's it all about, Paulus? Okay, verse 21. And all the Athenians, now this is a parenthetical comment in my, for example, in the new NIV, I think it is, it says, has this in parentheses. Now all the Athenians and the strangers visiting, present active participle, my aunt is an active participle, they were pursuing, they were spending their time, imperfect, unto nothing different than, so a can mean or, but in a comparative kind of situation, different than, I think it's a comparison, so than. Unto nothing different than to say something or to hear something newer. And this is the ER. We saw an ER yesterday. So this is new, kainos, and then kainoteros, newer. And that's what they want. These are present infinitive, present infinitive. Okay, so Paul's going to tell, there's going to be a speech. He's going to give a sermon. His sermon on the Areopagus is coming up. I think it will start tomorrow, I'm pretty sure. So we'll get into Paul's sermon at Athens in La Mañana. So there you have the Greek for today, Acts 17, 16 through 21, I believe it is. See you tomorrow, Lord willing.